1, 0, and liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. And we've got an exciting episode today for you. Please join me in welcoming attorney Shirley Skyers-Thomas, author of Unlearned.
Ramon, happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm excited to engage. Let's go.
Yes, let's do this. And I also like to recognize and introduce the right-hand man, Mr. Jorge Pezo Candelario, our Director of Web Development here at Peralta Design.
How's it going, everyone? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you happen to be in the world today.
Yes, Shirley, this book, it's amazing. I got my copy.
Thank you.
You brought an extra copy.
Thank you.
And we got a workbook, and we're going to talk all about that. Unlearned. I'm intrigued by the title, and I know we're going to dive deeper. But let's talk about leadership and the importance of leadership development in specifically small and micro businesses.
Absolutely. So when I think about small business leadership, the first thing that I want to share is we bring ourselves to leadership, right? We can't divorce how we present ourselves in business. And a lot of times we're not in a space where we receive a lot of development. Large corporations have budgets. Mm-hmm. They have the ability to share leadership development within the business. Small businesses sometimes don't. So we have this challenge that we have to develop ourselves. And small business development sometimes is lacking. Mm-hmm. So when we bring ourselves to our business, sometimes we have these challenges of we bring barriers, we bring limitations that are not addressed. So what we're doing here, we have this challenge of we have to address what is inherent in our story. We have to address these limitations. We have to address these barriers. So what the first thing I want to do when we think about leadership development for small businesses is address our story. What do you think about that first?
I love it. I love storytelling.
All right, let's dive into it.
And when you say story, you're saying the story of the company or the story of the individual?
I love that. Yes, Jorge, let's go. The story of the individual, because our stories are inherent in us. Our stories, I use it as stories and narratives. So our stories are inherent. And I say the stories that come from our families, our friends, our neighborhoods, our culture, they're inherent in us. They're given to us. They're our lived experiences. And we bring them to our businesses. We bring them to our professional development. And a lot of times they're very personal. And we think, okay, we divorce that from how we exist in business. You know, it's not relevant. But that's so untrue. And as we come to business development, as we come to, I meant leadership development, we can't assume that that is not going to be a part of our lifestyle, a part of our leadership style. It's a shame, unfortunately, that we're not addressing this in our small businesses. So what I want us to do is to be able to have this opportunity to incorporate it and be very intentional about what this looks like. So that's what small business development and leadership is out the gate. Look at it, develop it, make sure that we're recognizing our story, our narrative, and be able to say, hey, okay, let's think about what it was that is going to make sure that we're being so intentional about what happened in your life to make sure that we're looking at how you lead.
Yeah, I feel like there's a cause and effect, or there are clues in your story that are going to affect the type of leader that you become.
For sure. So there's an exercise I do. I'm not going to run you through the whole exercise, but there's an exercise I do. And I ask our small business leaders, because I work with folks who are just now registering their business to those who are maybe in business 5 and 10 years, but they want to make sure that they have a good handle on what they're doing in their industry. And I ask them to think about what you have been told that offered limitation to you. Think about when someone or some entity told you that you could not be, that you could not do, or you could not have something. Think about that. Generally, it's not when you were 20 or 30 years old. Generally, it's when you were a younger age. But think about it. And I'm not asking you gentlemen to share, but think about that time, and I want you to reflect on it. Think about who told you. Think about how you felt about it. Think about where you were. And hold that for a moment. And then let's connect that thought to how you lead. let's connect that thought to what barrier it connected for you, what barrier it kind of brought up in your space right now. And there is a woman who I did this exercise with. And what her limitation, what that brought up for her, was she was told that she was not supposed to excel in math. I don't want to say excel, that she was told that she wasn't that great in math. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, she kind of hesitated in the financial aspect. She kind of pushed off the finances to other individuals. So I was like, whoa, that's interesting. This not great in math. It's not to say she couldn't do math, not to say she wasn't great in math, but she pushed that financial aspect to other individuals. It's like, whoa, there's a story correlation there. Again, gentlemen, I'm not a therapist. I'm an attorney. But these ideas correlate so directly that we have to recognize our story and develop that aspect to say, let's see what's going on here. And let's have this opportunity to not only recognize our story, but eliminate those barriers and shift mindset on that. So this development area is a mindset shift.
Now, was she aware of that? Like, did she see the connection
after we talked about it? After we talked about it, because, you know, as leaders, we're so adept at shifting and pivoting because that's what leaders do. We're good at it. We're able to move in a moment to say, okay, we're going to delegate. You do this, you do this, you do this. And it's just innate that someone else can do this aspect. And not until we start to recognize, oh my gosh, that was a trigger. That was something that I didn't recognize that I don't want to do because someone told me I can't do it well. So once we start to talk about that, it doesn't even mean she has to take it back on, but that's just now a recognition that,
awareness.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah. And I think it'd probably be safe to say that this leadership development is something that goes neglected for many small business owners because you're starting a business. See, like, if you're part of the board of ed or you're part of a corporation, I think there's organized professional development. Right? Every quarter, there's someone comes in and so forth. But when you're doing things yourself, you're cutting corners, you're sacrificing, you're not sleeping, you're not eating. If you're scaling, you're taking resources to pay other people.
For sure.
So you're probably never addressing any of these things that you're talking about.
And unfortunately, as you're scaling and growing, and if you're just jumping into this space, you don't have the time for it necessarily, or you're not prioritizing the time. So not even to say the resources. We're talking about financial resources and time resources. So these larger businesses, they invest into leadership development. These smaller businesses and entrepreneurial businesses, the resources aren't there. The money's not there. So my advocacy is, as we step in, we have to do this. These small businesses, we have to invest in ourselves. We have to take this time to, allow ourselves to jump into leadership development. And some of it is, as I'm saying, I'm making reference to some of the trainings that I'm doing, but some of it is really kind of digging into how am I as a leader?
Now, what are some of the pitfalls if somebody doesn't address this? What have you seen happen?
We bring ourselves as is to our business.
Raw.
As is, right? Yeah. So everything that I am, and we are flawed individuals, and that doesn't change. We are people and love us as we are. But there's some refinement that we can bring to business, and we can't divorce ourselves from it. So if we can refine ourselves a little bit more, if we can take a little bit of the roughness off by seeing ourselves and addressing it, we're so much better off. We're so much better off. If we can see our leadership and kind of refine that, we're so much better off.
Right, but isn't it an uncomfortable truth for some people to take a look in the mirror?
Yes, and that's the point. That's the whole point. You have to look in the mirror.
Because after a while of blaming everybody else, you gotta start saying, you know what? Everywhere I go, there I am. So you become the common denominator in situations, whether it's people, maybe it's losing clients, maybe it's losing employees.
Right.
But at some point, you've got to work on yourself.
Just having that awareness is so valuable. And I think it's interesting that we tend to hear people want us to compartmentalize these things. Like your professional self and your personal self are just two totally different entities. But like you said, you're at your core, you are this person, right? And all of those, all of the flaws that you have, but all of the good qualities as well, it's a package deal. So you've got to be able to deal with it, or else you risk the pitfalls of just ignoring it. And then you end up in the same cycle of, why does this thing never work out? Why do I keep seeing this pattern happen? Well, we never addressed it. Here we are.
And even in the idea of leading teams. So as a leader, if you're in this space where there's a cycle of losing people, I think you're saying so, losing people, or if you have staff attrition all the time, as a leader, you have to look at that. And you can go back into your personal dynamic, right? So how are you personally? What is it that you have to fix about you personally? It's not just your business anymore. Now you have to look at you personally. And that at this point, it's not just professional development, it's personal development. So it's hand in hand. And this is the space of, it's not just your business, it's you. So this is this, this push and pull, this tug, that is this interchange, is neck and neck. And I don't think we have addressed it enough. It's a mindset shift. It's this interplay. We have not addressed it enough.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a break right there because this is fascinating, and I can't wait to hear about your personal story and journey and what led you to write this amazing book when we come back after these words.
Do you need printing done on time and for a good price? From posters to embroidery, business cards and booklets, and everything in between. For the best printing, check out my boy Harry, our partners over at Minuteman Press of Shelton. High quality products, timely service, competitive prices. You can expect these and more when you partner with Minuteman Press for your design, printing, and marketing needs. For more information, visit shelton.minutemanpress.com and mention Peralta Design's Mission Control podcast for an extra 10% off your next order.
3, 2, 1. Let's go.
We launch brands.
And we're back. Please help me once again to welcome attorney Shirley Skyers-Thomas, author of Unlearned. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
That was a great first segment. Great job.
Appreciate
Great
it.
job. But now, I see your subtitle here is Honor Your Story, Release Restraints, and Embrace Your Power. So please share with us your story.
Amazing. So when I think about my story, some aspects of story are not always wonderful. So honoring your story means that you have to go back to it and really think about it in the best light possible. So sharing some of my story, I was born in Philadelphia to immigrant parents. My parents are from Jamaica, so much of my identity is the islands, although I'm born in the U.S. My siblings are from outside of the U.S., but we landed in Bridgeport. Mm-hmm. So Bridgeport is home, despite the fact that we live outside of Bridgeport right now. Bridgeport is where I gained all of my, I'm going to say attitude. Sorry, gentlemen, I'm going to say attitude. I gained all of the aspects of me that I really love. And the people that are dearest to me are those who I met in this space. I went to school around this area, went to college at UConn, and psychology degree. But let me tell you a quick little snippet about that. And there's a story about that in the book, but I'm not going to ruin it. But I started and I was able to have a scholarship, a 4-year scholarship for engineering. If you have any conversation with me for more than 12 seconds, you recognize my brain is not one of an engineer. I am not an engineering brain. I like to talk and I like to write. So that was not
Creative.
a good fit. That is exactly right. So at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, this is not really working. I went into the space of psychology.
But what did your parents say when you gave up on that scholarship?
Oh, Thankfully.
Because if I know Jamaican parents, they were like, wait a minute, you're
hold
going to
on
be
now.
an engineer.
We have to find another way now, Shirley. But thankfully, they're super supportive.
All
And
right.
there are other ways to get through. This is college in the 90s, so there's other ways to get through school. Yeah. And at one point, this is my senior year. I'm the youngest of 4. And my sister is the one right above me. And I'm a junior in college now. My sister says to me, so what are you going to do now? Psychology degree. What do you do with a psychology degree? So I'm like, I don't know. Probably just like that, like, So she said, did you think about law school? I was like, well, that's a great idea. At that point, she was in law school, or she had just finished. My brother had just finished law school. My older brother was in med school.
Kudos to your parents.
Oh, thank God for them.
Lawyers, doctors,
Man,
everyone.
immigrants' dream, right? So thank God for them. And as a caveat, I am a PK. So what that means is a pastor's kid. So on both sides, my parents are pastors. That is a story I'll probably get to infuse very quickly, but went to law school and was able to go through law school, which is very challenging. It is not what we see on TV in terms of people just cruise through. For me, it was so very difficult. I went to law school in North Carolina, left this space of Connecticut, left what was home for me, can be home within an hour, to a space that no one was there. I didn't have family there. My siblings were gone at this point. Challenging, right? And stayed down there for about 4 years. And just to go back to my parents being pastors for just a moment, the Jamaican space that I grew up in even extended to the church. So I went to a church that was Caribbean, and our family and our extended family was very Caribbean. So that was a safe haven for me. So the considered like a big hug of family and friends and everything was this cultural dynamic. And separated from that was such a culture shock. It was different and difficult, even though it was, like you were saying, making reference to how strict it was and how it was heavy-handed. I couldn't do things that a lot of kids could do, having this heavy arm of this parenting and extended parenting, because I had two parents. But in our church, I probably had, 50 parents,
It takes a village.
It was a very large, heavy-handed village, but it was wonderful. And I just remember small stories, like other little kids would be running around, and people would pull me aside. You can't run around. You are the pastor's kids. Go sit down. So I knew very quickly there was a difference of how I had to conduct myself and comport myself. So that was early in the game. I knew I had to act a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept that all the way.
There was a higher expectation.
There were higher expectations, so I took that to heart. I recognized that even through college, through a lot of challenges that I faced and different abuses that I faced, and was able to come out and prepare myself, regardless of that I was going to push my way through and into college and into law school, and those different challenges of people and communities and circumstances. But I wanted to be a lawyer. And I wanted to allow my talents to give voice to those who didn't have voices. And that's why I wanted to also write. So I wanted to advocate as an attorney. I wanted to write to advocate for those who didn't have voices. And in the space where I am now, fast forwarding a little bit, I work for the state. So I also want to advocate for those who don't have voices, or those whose voices are muted a little bit. So that is why I come to these spaces of writing and advocacy, and how coming up in Bridgeport and literally seeing those around me who tried their best to be able to push themselves up, and they had stories to tell, but it wasn't necessarily heard the way that it should have been heard, or wasn't necessarily received the way it should have been received. That really pushed me forward, and that's why I am so passionate about doing what I do, and the organizations that I'm aligned with. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and we do service, and we serve people, and I'm aligned with the Links Incorporated, and we are a service organization. So the people and the individuals that I align myself, we serve, and we want to serve because that's what we should do.
It's a greater good and a responsibility.
We should.
If we've been blessed with more resources or more opportunity, we want to help those that may not have had those chances.
Absolutely. And looking around to even, I'm not going to dive into it right now, but even looking around to the circumstances that we find ourselves in this very day, we have some challenges. And if we're in a space where we can do, and we can uplift, and we can even encourage, we should.
Absolutely.
So that's how I find myself into this space, coming from where I have, seeing my siblings, seeing my parents, and very, very humble beginnings for my parents. Just to share very quickly, my grandfather, bless him, was not able to read. My grandfather from the island was not able to read, and he was able to check my mother's, what did she say? Check her spelling and her reading by just the way that she pronounced words and just the way she had confidence in how she was sharing her lessons. But coming from my granddad to my mom to me and my siblings to now what I pass on to my children, and my husband and I have 5 children, passing on to them, we have to do better. It is incumbent on us to pass on this amazing legacy because we can, because we should. So that is my passion, that is my desire, and that's why I do what I do.
That's incredible. Now, at some point in your career, the idea of this book was born. How long did it take to write, and when did that first thought come to you that you had to share? Because it's a very vulnerable book. You share a lot of your own personal journey in there and things you've had to unlearn. So maybe begin there, and then we'll get a little deeper into what the concept of unlearning is all about.
Sure thing. I wrote this to save my life, and I wrote it during the pandemic because I had time on my hands, as with everybody else, right? But truthfully, when I turned 40, it was an eye-opening experience, and I wanted to have some culmination of it. So I started to write some things down. Unlearning for me, well, I'll step into that in a second, but the reason why I wrote this was because if I didn't, I would have felt like I was missing a huge part of my becoming experience. When I was in a space of professional achievement and accolades and what seemed like the perfect American experience, it was truly a facade. And despite the fact that it looked amazing, on the inside, I felt like it was crumbling for me. So I want to share that despite what it looked like, and I know there are people who share the same experience, there was this depth and this defeated feeling for me. So I want to share, despite this, there is a better space and a better way of existing. So you can kind of step out of that. And this is what you could do. So I shared this is perhaps like a guidepost or a roadmap for individuals who may be having the same experience that I had. But this is how I got out of it. I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this. And now I've gotten to this space, which is truly transparent, which is truly authentic, which is truly my awakened moment. I'm not perfect, but this is truly the space where I am authentically me. And it started when I was 40. I'm not 40 anymore, gentlemen. I'm far from 40 at this point, but I'm truly my awakened and my becoming. I haven't become yet. My becoming space.
You're still transforming.
Absolutely.
Evolving.
I'm still evolving,
Yes.
but I'm so much better in this space because I am not the facade of a person that I was before.
Now, how much of that was midlife crisis, or how much of it was, and a true awakening? Did it come through prayer? Was it something that had, a specific incident in the office, so to speak?
Thankfully, it wasn't midlife crisis because it was this culmination of years and years and years of experience. And it was a moment of realization. It was moments, but it was a moment of true realization of this can't work anymore. And that moment was...
Were you unhappy?
I wasn't happy for years. And there was a moment, it's the first thing that I tell in the story. When I turned 40, I went to Vegas. It was amazing. My sister and I went to Vegas, and it should have been the most exceptional moment of our existence. Like, we're going to celebrate. For me, it was like so somber, and it was very reflective. And I was like, okay, this starts the new chapter. It wasn't really celebration like that. It was reflection. And it was, okay, this has to change. Yeah. This is a new beginning, and how am I going to do it? And this is really where I use 10 points. I call them tenets. 10 tenets of unlearning for me. The first one was recognizing, which is what I was sharing in the first segment that we were talking about. I really had to see myself. What makes me tick? What are these stories I'm talking about? What's really the hold up here? How do I see my story? It feels offensive. It feels shameful. It feels difficult to even, encapsulate. But I have to see it. It started there. So that's how I help people to see. So if you're going to read Unlearned, just be prepared to see yourself, because I'm going to share myself. I'm going to be vulnerable here. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to be vulnerable. But if I can share myself, hopefully in reading it, you'll share yourself too. To yourself. You don't have to share it with anybody else. It's you v you.
Yeah.
But hopefully you can share yourself and see
I
yourself.
think they say a lot of what you're hoping for is on the other side of fear, or getting out of your comfort zone. And definitely sounds like this book will do that. Now, you do a lot of speaking and workshop facilitating. Is those workshops? I see there's a companion journal. Are they aligned with the book? Which came first, the workshops or the book?
They are simultaneously put out. So I'm just coming off, actually this weekend, just came off a 8-week executive coaching session. And I've been working with different businesses. This was a cohort of many, I guess, micro businesses. Mm-hmm. I think there are about 16 or 17 businesses I was working with. And this was their graduation moment. Mm-hmm. So they were working through, I was working with them on each of the 10 to move forward in entrepreneurial settings. So as we were talking about small businesses and getting in their spaces and how they can move forward, we took each of them and kind of dug in. We're into teams, we're into their financial spaces, but we're taking it from the aspect of their stories and their narratives and mindset and what that looks like, how they could pivot, how they could reshape that, but based on the book and based on the tenets there. Can
you give us maybe 3 more of those 10?
Absolutely.
That you think our listeners would appreciate?
For sure. First one is recognize your story. And we've talked about that a little bit. The first idea there is you have to see your own narrative, seeing your own story, and dig into yourself because it is you. You're always going to be there. The second one is deconstruct your story. That is sometimes super challenging because it's seeing your story, but it's in a way that you're seeing how it really fits into your life. You're seeing how it has shaped your life over the years. The next one is it is the impact of your story through the years. It's not the next one after that, but one is shedding chaos.
Letting go.
You really have to, there is chaos of people, unfortunately. There's chaos of circumstances. So how do you let that go? And how does it show up in your life? And how do you let it go? And the final one, skipping to the end, is the awakened moment. And that doesn't mean that we've arrived. That means that you've gotten to the point where you can breathe a little bit. And sometimes you have to start at the beginning again. You can breathe and be like, okay, all right, let's go back again. Let's get back and dig back in.
Because you're kind of peeling the layers of the onion.
Yes.
Just that mindset shift is incredible because you realize, I think for a lot of folks, you get into this, especially talking to my oldest daughter about, she just turned 20 and there's this feeling of if you're not done and established at 25, you've failed, something to that degree. I'm like, baby girl, you're just starting. There's so much, that you have yet left to do and to discover. And I love that mindset shift of you never truly arrive. You're never done. And I think that's a trap that a lot of us fall into. Yeah. We get so used to talking about, being unhappy or, having that awakening moment is you get into this routine. And as we get older, that shortens the day because now you're not unlocking any new experiences as much, as frequently, or you don't take the time to. We should dedicate more time to that. Better work-life balance, so many things that are important to fostering a healthier life in business and personal life. And then being able to say, okay, let me take the 10,000 step foot back and realize, hey, I'm not done. This isn't the end all be all who I am and what I do. There's so much more opportunity there, but you have to be able to step back, let go, reframe that mindset that you never arrive, you continually evolve, you continually grow. It's just another chapter. So I love that.
I love that. And there's this idea that we are on repeat. Our thoughts are on repeat. Yeah. So how do we interrupt our thoughts to be able to sit long enough to reframe new thoughts? How do we interrupt I'm not going to get into science because, again, we've said I'm not truly, that's not my forte, but how do we interrupt our subconscious thoughts, our subconscious mind to sit long enough to introduce new thoughts? So if we have some barriers, if we have some limitations, how do we interrupt that long enough to say, hey, that's not truly who I am. That's not truly going to stop me. How do we introduce what I really want and allow that to be that pervasive thought? So that's the mindset shift that I truly introduce in all of what's unlearned.
That's fascinating. I'm curious to see how does this shift manifest itself, like tangibly. Can you maybe share a case study or an example of a leader that worked with you where it may have transformed in their business or manifested in something tangible in their business?
Sure. It was a new business. So the businesses I work with, it's varying. So new businesses, like I was saying, those who are just startups, and to those who are from 5 and 10, and those who are just really trying to reestablish their thought patterns. So there was one in particular. It was a woman who was a nurse, and she was reestablishing how she was doing her nursing. And her thought process was in stagnation of her nursing establishment. I'm not certain how to say it. Expansion. And her thoughts were that she had to do it all. So she was micromanaging and holding everything together. So her team was holding everything. Her team was very capable, but she was holding it all together. So we were working together much on the deconstruction. And that's the second tenet, much on the deconstruction. So we were working through her story and how it impacted her. She was sharing, again, I'm not a therapist, not at all. My recommendation is that you have a coach, a consultant, and a therapist. By the way, that's just a caveat. So we were working a lot on that deconstruction and how it impacts her. So going through her story, going through some worksheets and some options and some ways for her to really put this in action. So some of this was activities for her to just move forward to her team. Nothing outlandish, but practice giving to her team and the mindset about that. Nothing that seems like it's too outlandish, but getting this feedback. It's a communication thing that she wasn't used to. Getting this idea that you don't have to hold this all together. And it was something that she had heard, reinforced over the years, deconstructing that. After, it was probably about a couple weeks, getting this feedback that her team was thanking her for expanding that, opening this up a little bit.
Trusting them. Like, I don't know why the word trust keeps coming up in my mind. Yes. That maybe something happened in her story where she didn't trust.
And she shared a part of her story that she, and she's a Caribbean woman too. And I guess there's a lot of culture around that she had to do it all herself. She had to hold it all together. So once she was able to expand that and share that with her team, this connects directly to revenue. So we can say that all the time that, it's a personal thing that you feel better yourself. That's fine and dandy. But we want to see some revenue shift on this as well. So she was able to expand this to her team, give her team more responsibility, and allow her revenue to expand in her own personal business. So I was really excited about that for her.
Yeah, there's nothing more tangible than seeing the
revenue
numbers go up.
You give people more opportunity, give them more space to grow, People can
for
do
them,
more.
they probably felt like they trust me. I can do my job. Let me do what you
Untie
hired
my
me for.
hands.
Yeah.
Untie my hands.
Yeah.
So they were able to do more.
So
I was happy about that
business
for her.
growth and fulfillment, and everyone felt rewarded.
Everyone felt, but literally, you saw it in the numbers.
Yeah,
I was excited about that for her.
That's incredible. So share with us ideal clients. I mean, those are small businesses, but I know you also work with leaders like in corporate settings too.
Yes.
Maybe share a little bit more about the ideal clients, and then, of course, how we can learn more about your book and learn more about your facilitating workshops.
So I am not silly enough to say that I work with everyone. Mm-hmm. A lot of people say, "Oh, everyone's my client." Everyone's not my client because I work with small businesses, mid-sized businesses, and leaders. So not necessarily all corporations, but leaders in particular. Leaders who want to have a shift in perspective, who want to have a shift in mentality. Individuals who would be my ideal are women, are C-suite women, and individual small business leaders. New businesses, fantastic. If you've been in businesses 6 months or more, would be great. Mm-hmm. I tend to lean on the side of legal help, which is a different hat for me if you're just starting out. So that's a different hat for me. That would be helpful, but that's not necessarily the coaching, consulting, and the executive coaching aspect for six months.
I have to ask this just because we launch brands, and
yeah, for sure.
The name Indulgent Insights. How did you come up with that? What does it mean?
Oh my gosh, I want you to be indulging in the thoughtfulness of what I'm bringing to you. So step all the way in to the thought. So indulge in the insight.
Yeah. All right. And maybe share where folks can learn more and where they can buy the book and how they can hire you.
Yes. Thank you. I would love folks to jump into the space with me. So I have a number of ways to jump into space with me. Connect in it's called UnLearnedMethod.com. And on that, we can jump into the school community and we can kind of tap in, have conversation, go deep. From there, we can opportunity to be hired and opportunity for me to consult with you. IndulgentInsights.com is also the space for coaching and consulting. Please reach out to me. My direct line, 203-610-1285. Call me. Shirley at Indulgent Insights. Email me. But the website is unlearnedmethod.com. The book is available on all platforms. The audiobook just dropped about a week ago. So if you're like me, reading sometimes is a challenge. I like to be read to. It's nice and simple. And the easiest way to get it is probably Google Play. It's very accessible and available. And you can get the audiobook on Google Play and just be read to.
Very nice. And the companion journal, is that available also on the website?
Yes, all avenues, Amazon Plus.
And you recommend that they use this because, I mean, you've got some.
I recommend it. So as you go through the tenets, you can start to get your thoughts out and start to reframe your own thoughts. It is a nice way to start, and I can help you kind of dive deep. So hire me. Let's go. Let's work together.
And coming into this new year, this would be the perfect time, I think.
I agree.
Unlearn.
It's
What's holding you back?
It's time. We want to be the best versions of ourselves as we step into our personal lives, professional lives, and others.
Absolutely. Well, Shirley, thank you for being on our show. This was
amazing.
Yeah, great job. And
Thank you for the conversation.
You're going to help so many people.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Jorge, I appreciate you.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.